cognitive dissonance. It sounds like something too technical, something we really don't want to examine or know about. But if you do understand it, which is what I want to talk about today, it can help you your whole life. So have you ever really truly believed in something? This could be a cause, a person, a paradigm of some sort. It's framing the way you see the world. And then all of a sudden, this paradigm is fractured. The very foundation of it, this thing that I believed in for so long, doesn't really exist. Even though what you're finding out, the new information is in fact true, you just can't accept the new information because it's just turning your world topsy-turvy. And so then we walk away from the truth sometimes, even though integrating it in with us at some point is going to be very helpful, but we still push the truth away because it's just too emotionally painful to accept. So some ways that people deal with this is sometimes ignore any of the contradictory information that's coming in. Just, I don't want to hear it anymore, I don't want to go there. Or we're beginning to believe some of the information, but it just seems emotionally overwhelming, so we start projecting our feelings onto others. We either become very volatile, perhaps on a personal level, or there's a part of us still wanting to discredit the source. You know, I know where this started, I know where this came from, and you start wanting to blame them, even though on some level you know that this information is true, but you're just struggling with accepting it. Or sometimes people will get the new information and run with it. You know, they're able to realize that this is important information, it's the truth, and then they begin shifting their paradigm, their viewpoint of their world, and working with the new factual information. And then the other option is sometimes people just carry both beliefs. So they'll still have the original belief because they're just not ready to let go of that. But at the same time, they're willing to make room on some level for the new information. So over time, perhaps over years, they're actually carrying both sets of information. And that can be very confusing. So just be aware of cognitive dissonance. If you hear something in the news or about a loved one or whatever it is, and on some level you know it's true, or maybe you're getting some evidence about that, know that you're probably going to internally battle it for a while. There's a grieving that has to go along with this because it's a death, right? You're giving up your old ideas about something or someone, and you just don't want to believe it's true. You know, you're just battling it. So there's going to be grief and sadness about it. And then generally, once one goes through these stages and allows the mourning period, is when they're able then to work with the new correct factual information and then build a new life upon the truth. We all like our world to make sense. We like predictability in a way. We want there to be some sort of constant, right? Because everything else is changing. So it's hard to have this unpredictability in our own life. We just don't want to go there. We don't want to deal with it. And this can apply in so many areas in our life. For example, let's start with you have a boyfriend or girlfriend, or maybe you're married and you find out your significant other is cheating on you. This person that you've so admired, you've so loved, you've so trusted, you have evidence that they are indeed cheating on you, and you can't go there. It's like, no, I can't. I refuse to believe it. Because in believing it, especially if you're married with kids, you'd have to not only deal with the emotions about your significant other and the fact that they're out there screwing other people behind your back, but also now that affects the children, how you're going to tell them, how they're going to be raised, maybe your financial situation, the in-laws, your friends. Everything is turned upside down, and that can be really hard for people to want to go through that, so they put up the wall of cognitive dissonance. Another good example that we hear a lot about today is with politics and political campaigns and all that. And let's say you're a person who's held a strong belief about a certain party or a cause or maybe a certain politician, and then you find out that there are certain behaviors, certain things they say that is questioning their integrity. You don't know what to do with it because it goes against what you want to believe. And now you're finding out that a lot of it is hogwash. So where cognitive dissonance would play into this is the person still continues supporting that particular politician or that party, or it could be a nonprofit organization or something like that, even though they know that there's evidence out there that is proving that their ethics or their morals or their goals in the long run are very questionable. And then they try to discredit the people or the organizations that are spreading what they call these lies, even though they may not be lies at all. Another good example could be with finances, with money. For example, we all heard about Bernie Madoff years ago and the sad story that turned out to be. And can you imagine being an investor on that pyramid scheme that he was promoting for years and years and years? And you're giving this man all your money and you believe that it's going to pay off, and you're trusting this man, and you're seeing that other people that are involved with him are also making money. So now you have this paradigm, you have this way of looking at it, and this involves your financial future. Maybe this involves your retirement and all that. And all of a sudden you find out that it's a big grand scheme and he is busted by the FBI. Well, how does that make you feel? In many cases, they're not so clear cut like Bernie Madoff. So he's kind of easy to work with here because we have evidence of what he did and he went to trial for it. But many cases in our lives are more gray area, where you kind of know something, there's something in your gut that just doesn't feel right, you're getting some information, it's not real clear cut, you know it's probably true, but you really don't want to deal with it. Well, that's going to harm you in the long run by not dealing with the truth, because that's a way for you to be easily manipulated, because people can tell that you're gullible in these areas and that you're taking in and accepting this false information. So that's a good way to be manipulated. Another example that therapists see a lot are kids that have been abused on some level when they were young at an early age, and it's too much to take on to process this in any way, so they block the memories. The memories are just gone. So sometimes these memories come back later in life, sometimes not until we're in our 20s or our 30s. But until those memories come back, this child may grow up with this image of their family and of their parents. And that image and that fantasy feels good because we want to derive our identity on this fantasy. But then something may happen. For example, these repressed feelings come up in the form of dreams or actual memories themselves, and you begin to have flashbacks and you remember that you indeed were physically or sexually abused. Well, talk about cognitive dissonance. That's where a therapist really sees a client wanting to hold on to the past beliefs because it's very emotionally troubling to have to deal with all the repercussions of what they're learning. Not only has their childhood been a facade, but their parents, the parental unit, their family, maybe the family knew about it and didn't say anything, and then that's hard to deal with too. And then of course probably questioning their self-worth, like, did I do something bad? Is there something wrong with me? Which of course they didn't do anything bad. It's all about the perpetrator, but that comes up for people. They think that they're guilty of something. Another example that comes to mind is maybe a kid grows up and thinks that they're one of 3 children in the family because that's how they're being raised. And nobody bothered to tell the middle child that they were actually adopted when they were an infant. And so there's this great secret around this. And then lo and behold, when that child grows up and somehow perhaps in their 20s, an aunt, an uncle, a family member, or maybe they find some documents that let them know that they indeed were adopted as an infant. Well, cognitive dissonance for sure, usually at first. I don't want to believe this. Who do I come from? What happened? Why did they lie to me? Or another one that pops in my mind sometimes when I see all those advertisements for Ancestry.com, which a lot of people are doing, or other websites that help you trace your DNA, your family background. And lo and behold, you find out that your ethnic descent is not what you thought it was. Your cultural background is not what you had in mind, and it throws you off. You don't want to believe it. I can't believe that I'm 30% A, or I can't believe that I'm 65% B. Because the whole time I thought I was 100% C. Well, you're not 100% C, and you found this out. Now, what are you going to do with the information? It's the truth, right? But it's going to be hard to integrate it, perhaps. So I hope this is helpful. It's not talked about enough, I don't think, anyhow. And again, watch my video about manipulation, because if you don't deal with the truth, you can easily be manipulated. Please leave me some comments below if there's anything you'd like to add. Please subscribe to my mental health YouTube channel if you like these kind of videos. And until next week, this is Brad Shore signing off from Ask a Shrink.